Ah, South Africa. Not only teeming with vibrant people, diverse cultures, and breathtaking scenery, it is a land full of economic potential and growth. It has been for quite some time. Then, what roadblock halts us from realizing this potential? Most people would rightfully say corruption is the root of our country's major problems, that without corruption, things would run smoothly and efficiently. However, what most people fail to consider is the role that they are playing in the war against corruption. In this episode, we look at bribery and what impact it is having on our nation. You're watching Besekuwe.
So we want to know, how do you feel about bribery?
It's not necessary. That's how I feel. And you put people in a tight spot. I mean, you make people feel desperate. Because if you want to do something, and then let's say, for example, I wanted a job, and then I had to bribe you for that job, where do you think I get the money because I don't work?
I would say it's not okay. Bribery is not okay anyway. On the reality side of it, it solves issues. It's something that gives you less stress. And I think they take advantage of that because they know sometimes what they're accusing you of or what they're asking from you, it's not right. But because that's what they want and they feel like you would do that to avoid a lot of problems. So they do that.
When it comes to bribery, I don't feel like it's something that we can actually approve, because why? We're working so hard to make sure that we have things that we actually belong, right? That belongs to us. So bribery is not allowed at all. So I feel like people that are doing this supposed to be locked to jail and then they banned in there.
Bribery is one of the instruments that kills our country, whether from the private sector or the public point of view.
Bribery obviously is wrong, but I think it's a South African way, bro. You know, because like for you to get a job, you have to bribe, or you have to know someone. For you to get a 10, you must bribe. For you to get something, you must bribe. For you to elevate in life, you have to bribe. You have to get favors from. So I don't promote it, but it's the way in South Africa.
I think it's awful. I think anyone doing that should be ashamed of themselves.
If you yourself were in a tough situation and you needed to get yourself out of trouble and you needed to bribe, or if you wanted to even better your own circumstance, would you bribe?
It's a tough world, man, you know, especially now that we under this COVID and all this kind of regulations and all that. It's tough, man. As you saw, people were looting. It's not that they wanted to loot. It's tough. There's no food in the house, you know, you have to pay electricity. Some of us have to pay rent. It's too much. If it's for my own benefit in future, I don't want to lie to you, I'll bribe. I will bribe.
I will, because just to save me a lot of stress. I don't mind. I will.
I don't approve it at all.
You don't approve it at all?
Yes.
Okay.
I won't take a bribery, and I'm not encouraging anybody to take any bribery, because if you bribe somebody for a wrongdoing, both of you are equal to the same thing that you are doing. Both of you are guilty. So bribery is nothing that I can take from anybody.
Well, to be honest, I would. If I want to get out of trouble, I'll do it, obviously. If I want a job, when it comes to jobs, it's tricky. Because let's start there. Because I'm going to have to get money to give you money. I don't have money. Hence, I'm applying for a job. But to get out of trouble, it depends how deep it is. If I'm going to go to jail and I'm going to have to bribe, I'll bribe.
I wouldn't go for like jail 25 years. Would you go for 25 years? Plus you are going to get a bad record, criminal record. So I wouldn't do that. I would buy the case, bro.
Okay, so as bad as bribery is, I would do it because, like, if I was in a very tough situation, I mean, I've done that before. I've bribed people before. Yeah, so I think I would do it because, you gotta look out for yourself. You gotta put yourself as number one.
How do you feel about the police actually accepting and offering bribes?
The element of police is something else that we are trying by all means to fight it. But remember, we cannot babysit the police personnel. We are not with them always. We speak about it in our public meetings. Everywhere we go, we are condemning bribery. But now, on the scene, we are not there. where we told them not to take a bribery, but on the scene they will still take it. But we are really condemning it, bribery, because now you open a case today, tomorrow that person is out without even going to court. Because now he paid the bribery on the spot.
They're being dishonest to themselves. When they applied for the job, what would you like to do? Protect my country. How are you protecting it? By stealing. You're basically stealing. Because your uniform intimidates me, firstly. If you're going to say, give me 20 rands so that I scratch you off the ticket list, I'm going to give it to you. I don't want it. So they're taking advantage, basically.
If they can solve issues without accepting bribe, it would be good.
Okay.
It would be nice for them to do that. But these days, I don't see where you will find that, because it's everywhere where you go. Yeah.
Already they are losing fights, and this is a war. So if you keep on losing fights, you will never win a war. I don't feel like it's a good thing, but like, you have to think like out of the box. The type of situation where police are put in, you know, they do their work. You might investigate for a case for like 10 years. Then I come and steal the docket. Because I have my own needs and I have my own greed. You understand? So yeah, it is what it is, but I don't promote like bribery.
If I drive from some place to another and it's at night, I don't want to go to jail. I was having fun wherever I was. If the cops want to bribe up, I'll bribe him. Just jokes, man. I don't bribe anyway, you know. I've went through situations whereby a bribe would work, but nah, I decided, you know, it's not me. It's not my style. I always keep myself away from a lot of things, you know.
Would you please tell us how you yourself feel about the bribery that goes on in South Africa?
I couldn't say for sure what exactly is happening and who's involved. But what I can say is that, especially with regards to roadblocks and things like that, you see a lot of petty demands. You know, they'll come along and they'll insist that you aren't wearing a seatbelt when you were. You took it off because they asked for your license, or they'll say you didn't stop at the stop sign and you did. Things like that, you know. And then the next thing they say, no, you're gonna pay a fine. And then they take their sweet time with it. You know what I mean? Next thing. You offer to pay a bribe, or they say, give me a Coke and I'll let this thing skip, you know what I mean? Yeah, but obviously I'm not involved in that sort of thing, and I mean that, but yeah, that's what I've seen, that's what I've heard. I suppose it varies between either ignoring or deciding to charge the person with attempting to corrupt us. So it's a charge of corruption as the corruptor, you know what I'm saying? But most of the time I just pretend I didn't hear it. If the person insists, I'll just do them a favor and say, no man, I didn't hear what you said. We're going to proceed the way we were going to proceed before you made that offer.
I wouldn't pay for a bribe. It is a matter of ethics, but I've come from a background where I was taught between right and wrong. As much as given the situation where I grew up, there was more wrong than right. But I think I was grounded with the ethics that I need to work hard for what I want in my life, because hard work has paid off, and that taking a bribe will initially go against my ethics as much as I go into the job. In the long run, I feel like I would have betrayed myself, having paid for that, where else there are people out there who are working hard and making it work for themselves. And I believe it also taints into society that it's a norm. We can live like that. But then at the end of the day, it disrupts who we are, where we come from. And I believe the chaos that is going in or happening in our country or in the world, excluding the government, even ourselves, we taint ourselves. We are young people. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. My question is, if we're going to leave this unethical level of taking bribe all the time to solve our problems, for how long? And for that longest time, what will be the after effect? Yeah.
I need the money. Why can't I spend that little money to gain more? I'll be working by then. I'll replace that money that I pay. Okay, I know it's wrong. I definitely know it's wrong because it's going to cost the ones that should be where I am while I'm not supposed to be where I am. But I will be there at a shortcut, guys. There's even a bridging cost, so why wouldn't I bridge? I would. That's why there are passage everywhere. I would, guys. I would.
When you pay for a bribe, right, it's not something like you say that it's going to be once off because you don't know what more the person would want. And it's like you're living under a leverage of this person because now you have to be on your best behavior or whatsoever because now he's looking at you. You feel like he can just wake up tomorrow and be like, no, you didn't get his job legally or the right way, so I feel like I can take you out anytime. So you're living on that age. So it's not a good thing living on the age, especially in a work environment, because you can't utilize your own potentials because you feel like you can't give everything because you feel like even if you give everything, this person might not still like you. They might just take you out. So why not give a little? And so paying for a bribe, it never ends actually. It never ends because you don't know what they want tomorrow. You don't know what they want next tomorrow. It's like you're just living under them. It's like this oppression, like in bondage. So I wouldn't really ever pay for a bribe, apart from the ethical side, but just on that personal level of human beings' interactions, I really want to express myself as a person. I really want to shout at you if I feel like I need to shout at you. I need to express myself. I don't feel like, okay, expressing myself might put me in this dilemma of losing my job because I actually got it in an unethical way. So it's quite, something like that.
I want a job, you want a job. But I'm gonna apply for the job and I worked hard for the job. I don't get jobs. I think people who are taking bribes, they're just preventing the people that want the job really. They're gonna go to university. Like, for example, I'm studying accountancy and study. Then I go look for a job and I couldn't get it. You're gonna apply for the job that I want and I need it. So I think taking a bribe just prevent. That's why we have a lot of jobs and whatnot. It's because people are taking our jobs by bribing them, but not working hard for them. So I think it's illegal and it's not who I am. I'm not gonna do that.
Like, guys, focus on yourselves. You need money. You need a job. Will you even think of others? Will you even think of the one who studied while you need it? Like, I'll be selfish in that part. I'll definitely pay a policeman for me to not be arrested. I would definitely pay because by going to jail, I'm getting my CV all rotten. So why not spend that little money to clear that up? Like, why not? Like, why not? Like, why not? It's gonna pass. It's gonna pass. I'm doing it now, and it's gonna pass. I'm sorry if when now you think going to jail is the right thing. That's good for you. I go.
I need to feed myself, I need to feed my family. And as well, even if I was stopped by a cop for, I don't know, speeding or whatever, and he gave me the option, you either bribe me or, you get a ticket, I'm gonna bribe him. I mean, what are the chances of me getting caught? If I'm not going to report him and he's not going to report me, what are the chances of me getting caught? So definitely I'm going to let it slide. Even again, because I'm going to think so many things happen and people get away with such bigger crimes. I mean, I'm bribing a cop for a ticket. What are the chances that I'm going to get caught? So definitely I'm going to do it. I am.
You wouldn't want to be in jail. I've been in a holding cell where it was not fun. I was looking at the people I'm going to spend a couple of days with. So I had 250 in my pocket and I used that. It was a getaway card from jail. The reality is the life that we're living right now. It's either choose this or that. And if you want to get out of trouble, like she said, you're going to have to pay for it at some point. And I'm listening to her is that when people pay bribes, you are robbing off the people who've worked hard. But let's be realistic, 21st century, things happen in a way that we do not expect it to. But if we still have that ounce of morality in us, let us not deter deter from it completely. But yeah, if you can get away with a speeding ticket, I doubt you can pay. Okay, I don't know if people do pay bribes for killing people. A murder case, I don't know. But yeah, that's another level. I mean, my guilty conscience would eat me up if I had to pay a bribe for having killed somebody. But a speeding ticket, getting drunk, maybe caught with that little thing, I don't know, whatever mischief we have in our youthful days, I guess we can get away with that. Not to that extent now we're old and then now we're doing it continuously. It's a habit which leads to his Charles that it can kill us. It's bad habits that lead into bad excuses of the community. But yeah, push comes to shove, a ticket, definitely pay that bribe.
Bribery isn't just money. Let's kick it up a notch. Would you sleep with someone to get a job?
Yeah, I wouldn't sleep with someone to get a job. I wouldn't. Monetary, yes, I can pay, but that one is too much. I can't. Yeah, even if someone can offer me $1 million, that one I can't. I just can't for the rest of my life. I can't just expose myself just like that. I can't. And nowadays, these people, they can record you and the guy can hide his face, and then what happens if that thing is out? Then you will kill yourself, you end up committing suicide. So I wouldn't. I love man though, but no.
Yeah, from my side, I won't sleep with someone to get a job. Let's say maybe I've been looking for a job for more than 5 years. So then I get this chance of someone saying, right, just do this for me, then you'll get this. I wouldn't even hesitate to take it.
What? Wow. It's a guy. We never think it's never just the opposite. Or you never know who actually wants you. Because that's hectic. That's the real deal. That's the real deal. Really, bro. Would you be that desperate? Wow. If you're the guy, then I'll pass. No way. You're gonna get it the hard way.
I'm Zwandile Panjatwa. I'm a projects coordinator with Corruption Watch. Corruption Watch is a non-governmental organization which was formed in 2012. We were formed amidst the huge rising tides of corruption in our country. And our sole mandate is exactly that, to fight the rising tide of corruption in our country. We do this by encouraging members of the public to report various incidences of corruption to us, and they do this via various platforms. The important platforms of social media, our emails, our website. Since we were established in 2012, we have received over 30,000 reports of corruption, and this is both in the private and in the public sector. What we do with these reports is that, on the first instant, they help us to understand exactly the nature of corruption in our country, so that we can then be able to be in a better position to intervene. Our interventions at times require investigations. We do select investigations, also do select litigations on certain matters. We mount various communications undertaking so that people understand exactly what corruption is and how it affects them.
What are the most common drivers of corruption?
The common drivers of corruption typically would be the rate of poverty in the country, the levels of unemployment, the level of education or access to education therein, or the rate of equality or inequality in one particular country. So that tends to be some of the drivers of corruption that have been seen for some time. But equally so, the quality of education that we have been receiving has been subject for a very long time. And when you have the low quality of education, that tends to play into that space, because you now have the highest rate of the highest dropout rate. And when you have the highest dropout rate, you have young people who do not necessarily are employable. They have plenty of time, and you then start to have the highest rate of crime. The structural issues that we have in our country, we have the highest rate of inequality. And the issue of access to land is also another problem, because it now means that people are unable to self-sustain. And leadership becomes a huge problem, because if people don't see their leaders as legitimate, then that becomes a huge problem. Issues of corruption become very much common. They become common traits, and it becomes a norm even in sectors where you wouldn't typically expect that there would be corruption. In the healthcare space, in education, particularly basic education, we see a lot of irregularities in how funds are managed, and you find that at times you have principals who take advantage of the illiteracy of some of the SGB members. Then they tend to take over the procurement of the school, employing people irregularly and misusing school funds, all to the detriment of learners. Every year there's this survey that is released. It's called the Happiness Index, which rates various countries based on perceptions of people's happiness, and this they do by gauging one, access to the freedom of speech, access to social amenities, the healthcare in those various countries, and the level of generosity of people in those various countries. And you find that in high-ranking countries, these are typically would be European countries, and what you find is that the more people trust their government, the more access they have to social amenities, and the more equal society is. And you find that people tend to be more generous, and people are generally more happier. And it's very strange, because there is no African country that ranks within the top 20 of that index. So it means that countries that are affected a lot by corruption are countries that are less happier. The common feature in countries with the least amount of corruption is happiness, amongst others, and stability.
Okay, we know that poverty does play a big role in corruption, but then now what about those who aren't actually affected by poverty at all?
In most cases, the rich want to remain richer, and they tend to do whatever it takes to remain rich. And you find that the poorest of the poor are trying to survive, and they will then do whatever it takes to survive, even to bribe, which then becomes the norm. But in all of this, the people who benefit the most would be those who are entrusted with power to make decisions which benefit people who do not have the most. And I think that here's the biggest issue in South Africa that we see, is that we find that there's a huge amount of abuse of power in the use and misuse of resources. So that is the issue and the driver of poverty that we've noticed.
What are the stats? Is corruption in SA declining or rising?
Globally, South Africa is not doing really well. Every year, Transparency International releases the Corruption Perception Index, which ranks about 180 countries, based on the perceptions of various think tanks, business people, and various organizations that do works in all of these countries, to gauge the level of perception of corruption within those particular countries. And we find that out of a scale of 0 to 100, and 0 meaning that there's least amount of corruption, and 100 meaning that there's zero amount of corruption, and 0 meaning that there's a high rate of corruption. South Africa ranks 76 in those countries with a score of 44. And that means that South Africa is counted amongst the corrupt countries in the world. And that means we have a huge issue of corruption in our country. But further to that, we're not even doing very well amongst our peers in Africa, because we are not even doing very well in that scale too of the sub-Saharan region. But what is making it worse is that as Corruption Watch, we have received over 30,000 reports at an average of about 4,500 reports per year. So this is a growing number of reports that we're receiving. So it points to the fact that corruption is in the rise in our country.
As citizens, we rightly complain about the high levels of corruption, especially within the state. Often we see corruption and bribery as evil deeds committed by those in power. But how often do we pause and look at ourselves in the mirror? Can we really complain about bribery when we are actively participating in it? Is corruption okay if it helps us get out of sticky situations? Let me direct the question to you. Would you pay or accept a bribe to better your circumstances? Your honest answer is a reflection on the true nature of our country. However, if we really are to stand up against corruption, we must say no to all of it, regardless of the consequences. That's all we have for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. This was Besekuwe. Join us next time, but for now, good night.